Are you ready to dairy-free your mind? This summer, melt away your dairy-free expectations with So Delicious dairy-free frozen desserts. Enjoy mind-blowing flavors like salted caramel cluster, chocolate cookies and cream, cookie dough, and more. For over 35 years, So Delicious has been cranking up the flavor with show-stopping products that are 100% dairy-free, certified vegan by Vegan Action, and are so unbelievably creamy, your taste buds will do a double take. Dairy-free your mind. Visit SoDeliciousDairyFree.com.
August has started out a little smoky for my taste, what with the wildfire drifts and all, but all the news that hits our town, still clear as day. Today on CityCast Las Vegas, we take a look at the most intriguing stories we saw this week with Jacob Solis of Battleborn Progress and my co-host Sarah Lohman, and we discuss the Tesla tunnels looking to join the traffic above ground, a congressman threatened with arrest at an ICE detention center in Pahrump, and some county commissioners in hot water over freebie F1 tickets. It's Friday, August 8th. I'm Dayvid Figler, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Jacob and Sarah, welcome to the Friday News Roundup.
Good morning, David.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Well, it's always nice to talk about the news with smarty pantses, and you two fit the bill. But before we get into that conversation, a little favor to ask of our listeners. Sarah, you want to do the ask?
Sure. We're doing our annual listener survey, and it really helps us out if you take it. It's important data for us to best serve you. And if you took it last year, we would really love it if you took it again. We can't use last year's data anymore.
Right. Needs to be fresh so that we can be fresh. So please do go to citycast.fm/survey to take it. Only takes about 7 minutes, and that's if you go slow. We timed it, actually. Citycast.fm/survey. And if people do the survey...
The best part is,
yes,
not only are you going to help us, but you're eligible to win a $250 Visa gift card, and we'll send you some Las Vegas CityCast swag if you win. So
citycast.fm/survey. Yeah, do us a solid. Go over there. As we always start out our Friday News Roundup, we have something called the Hot Headline.
Hot Headline. Pretty good.
Usually just a little something that caught our eye. We're not going to talk about it too long. But, last Monday at 6 a.m, a car going maybe 90 miles an hour somehow
I had no
smashed
idea it
through
was
the wall.
6 a.m. Wow.
Yeah.
That's an inappropriate time to smash into a wall. Sorry.
Well, it's a 24-hour bar that it crashed into, our beloved dive bar Dino's. So, the owner, who is actually a friend of mine, went on TV, visibly shook. So shook, she mistakenly told the whole world that Dino's is the oldest bar in Las Vegas. I kid. We did a little research on that. It's one of the oldest bars in Las Vegas.
Controversial.
A little controversial, but Sarah and I went there and we got day drunk. It was fun. Anyway, their motto, adorned on the exterior wall, is "Getting Vegas drunk since 1962," and there is no word yet if the driver was pushing the limits of twisted karma by indeed being drunk. Luckily, no one seriously was hurt, and remarkably, the bartender had just stepped away from the area where the car went in.
Stressful.
But they'll be up and running again. Nothing can keep Dino's down. All right, let's jump into the news. My favorite topic, the boring tunnels underneath Las Vegas, which is the alternate transportation that all our elected officials have put all their hopes and dreams and joys into. Now wants to just join the traffic above ground. Sarah, make sense of this for me.
Yeah. File this under exasperated sigh. Musk's boring company wants to bring Teslas out of the tunnels and onto surface streets. This is all thanks to reporting from Dana Gentry at the Nevada Current. Shout out. So as you know very well, Dayvid Figler and Jacob Solis, the boring tunnels are a system of tunnels under Las Vegas that Teslas drive through, and it's known as the Las Vegas Loop. And this originally consisted of 1.7 miles of tunnels, 3 stops as a shuttle at the convention center. Musk proposed this idea as a way to solve traffic congestion on the surface roads. And the idea as proposed was driverless vehicles that went 150 miles an hour. Currently, they are Teslas with human drivers that max out at 35 miles an hour max. So the Boring Company was approved last year to build a little over 100 Vegas Loop stops throughout Vegas and Paradise, including transit to and from the airport.
To and from near the airport.
Near the airport. Near enough, right?
Yeah.
So as proposed, it was thought that these stops will be completed by next year, but at the current rate of delivery, it will take about 40 years to complete all stops. That's not even a joke. That's facts based on how quickly they've been going.
Yeah.
So Musk Boring Company has applied to the Nevada Transportation Commission to take Teslas above ground under the name Paradise Transportation Company. In their initial application, it was not immediately apparent that Paradise Transportation Company was connected to the Boring Company. That application was denied, and they have reapplied with the connection made apparent. Paradise is seeking licenses to transport passengers, this is a quote, between definite points of origin and destination at a per capita rate. So it's a little vague,
taxis.
Right?
Taxis. Above ground.
That line
Sweet.
doesn't specify if the Teslas above ground are just going between where these 104 pre-approved stations are or will be, or if they're taxis and they can just go anywhere. This would be a largely unregulated taxi service because they're not applying for a taxi license. They're applying to do this as a private company. So, and thanks to Musk's deep pockets. Go ahead, David.
No, I mean, this is just, it's confusion on my face, which I'm guessing is intentional.
Yeah. There's definitely some intentional hideaway here. So Musk, being the richest man on the planet, is going to subsidize this project, meaning that these Tesla taxis will be able to undercut Uber, Lyft, and taxis. Right. They'll charge $5 for trips up to 3 miles, $10 for 4 to 6 miles, and $12 of trips for more than 6 miles. That is about half of what an Uber, Lyft, or taxi charges. To be fair, Uber did the same thing when they were first launched to undercut taxi rates and put taxis out of business. So it's maybe a little bit of karma here.
Cycle of transport life.
So in conclusion, the goal here is really the airport because that's 58 million passengers a year. Musk wants this company to turn a profit, and that is how he sees it happening. And although the Vegas Loop stop has been approved by the city, the Federal Aviation Administration has not approved the tunneling for various reasons and doesn't look like they're going to anytime soon. So this seems to be a way to go around that while accessing the passengers at the airport.
Jacob, you were around when this whole thing was pitched. When the LVCVA gave them $50+ million to operate it as a people mover, its expansion. You read our story that CityCast did with Daniel Rothberg in ProPublica about the trials and tribulations and problems.
The toxic sludge?
What does this new proposal suggest to you?
This proposal suggests, I think, what we've known all along, that the Vegas Loop is a farce, that this is not a serious proposal, that 40 years to get, all of these stations online, it's all like big dreams backed by nothing in particular, because, they'll pitch, like Sarah said in the beginning, right? This 150 mile an hour, we got giant buses underground traveling in tunnels. It's going to be so much more efficient than a subway. It's going to be so much better. And then it's like...
It's going to alleviate traffic.
And then all they're doing now, we're proposing to actually increase traffic, I believe, is what this proposal would do.
Yeah.
So what do y'all think is motivating this proposal?
I think that the Vegas Loop is absolutely hemorrhaging money. It's not profitable. It's not proven. Shockingly, they got under the contract in Nashville to build basically an airport shuttle as well.
That's a 10-mile loop that seems to be moving at rapid speed to approval, but maybe not so much to fruition. We actually talked about that with the Nashville CityCast crew, but that town is going apoplectic about it because
at a year per mile. That'll be done in a decade. So great. He can kind of fudge the details and get those airport passengers and be like, see, look at all the money we're making. That's kind of my thoughts on it.
Huh. I mean, Jacob, In our article, again, that we did with ProPublica, that, again, I hope people will take a look at, they did stuff under different names there, too, so you couldn't really track it. Is there a bigger story here? Is this like a microcosm of how things are working right now in Las Vegas and the players who are involved? What should be our takeaway about this, that they promised us an efficient underground system that was going to alleviate stuff, and now they're just going for a very traditional model that's going to potentially undercut, the taxi stuff and the Ubers and the Lyfts?
Well, I think what it says to me is that there's zero accountability for any of these projects, right? Like, you can make all these promises, never deliver on them, under-deliver on them, and there are zero consequences. In fact, if they do get this contract, it's just benefits, right? That's just gravy for them to get an untapped market where they can undercut taxis and Ubers. Not saying that taxis and Ubers need, protection, but like it's just, I don't see how this is anything but a lack of accountability for a project that has clearly been fairy dust this entire time.
Here's the crazy part, if I can add to this, but Uber and Tesla already have a deal. Like, you can rent Teslas through Uber, and Uber also has a program for their drivers where if you have above a certain star rating, you can go get a Tesla to drive around and pick up passengers in. So to quote our friend of the pod, City Nerd, he's just selling Teslas. While I do think there's a bigger idea that he wants to make this project profitable, he's just finding ways to sell his car, including to our police force. They bought them Cybertrucks, too, through an anonymous donor, right? We're just selling Teslas, whether they're good cars or not.
Yeah, they're also making a model here in Las Vegas that they're using to pitch other cities like Nashville, because Vegas certainly was mentioned quite a bit. Same players who built the one here were talking to the Nashville citizens, trying to convince them that, it was good in Vegas, it'll be good here. Here's my bigger question. What is the upside for allowing this project of the Vegas Loop to morph into something more traditional, driving cars above ground?
Maybe
come on, guys, you're both smart. There's got to be, what's he going to say?
I guess there's continuity, because I guess you could theoretically drive straight from the airport into the tunnel, right? If it's all in the same quote unquote system. But why does that matter? Why is that something you want to do? Wouldn't you need to go to a hotel first? I guess theoretically, once the stations exist at hotels. But again, it's just a taxi. If you're driving above ground from the airport to the hotel and then get in the loop to go somewhere else, what's the point? What have we done but reinvent a taxi?
Yeah, you know what? Even the hotel to convention center, other than Resorts World, they don't actually link into the convention center loop. You get out at this abandoned parking lot, and then you have to walk over to the loop station. It's bad.
And some of those stations don't have cover or shade. So, and there's a recent video that our friend City Nerd did.
City Nerd.
Yeah, where he's like, sometimes people could be in 100-degree temperature waiting for 20 minutes for that car to arrive. I don't know. They are all electric vehicles. I guess that might be a good point, even though those have now become problematic in our world.
But they're not companies.
But they're not emitting,
vehicles.
The toxic carbon monoxide into our already fragile air filled with smoke and other bad contaminants, right?
I just got to put out there, one of my biggest concerns with an unlicensed taxi company as a woman. And I know that any woman listening knows what I'm talking about. I've told you, Dayvid, I think I get sexually harassed 2 out of every 10 times I'm in a Uber or a Lyft. Uber and Lyfts have call 911 and share your location buttons now. And they had to evolve that over time because it did not occur to them that horrible things can happen to people when you're in a car with a stranger. So where is there needs to be the same licensing system and same oversight as a taxi company or as Uber or Lyft.
Yeah. Well, I would hope that now that this is no longer the, promised closed loop system with all the cameras and eyes on it, and now it's going out into the world, wherever direction that they're going, that all these things would be part of the thoughtful process of deciding if they can or cannot do it. But clearly from this conversation, it warrants even more investigation by us here at CityCast. So I'm going to make a pledge that we won't let this story kind of fade away. And we do appreciate Dana Gentry's work to keep this in the public eye.
You set the table, put on a playlist, even made the lasagna from scratch. And now you're wearing it. OxyClean Max Force Spray tackles tough, set-in stains the first time. Adulting is hard. Fighting stains shouldn't be. OxyClean Max Force. It's not clean unless it's OxyClean.
Stuck in a lo-fi loop again? Hit shuffle and refresh the everyday with Mentos Gum. Pop a piece and turn that sleepy soundscape into a dance floor. Freshen up your moves with spearmint. Find freedom with fresh mint. Get juicy with red fruit lime and tropical. Or choose a different way to refresh the everyday with your favorite. Mentos Gum. Yes to fresh.
Okay, let's move on to topic number 2. Jacob, Nevada Congressman Steven Horsford was denied entry into the federal facility over in Nye County, our neighbors in Nye. Wanted to check on the ICE detainees, and they said they're going to call the sheriff to arrest him. How's that story opening up?
Yeah. So just some extra details here from the Review Journal and Ricardo Torres Cortez here. So Horsford goes to the facility. He tells them in advance that he's going to go. He shows up and, yep, as you said, they say, no, you are a security risk, actually, and we're going to call the sheriff on you. Now, this facility is a private prison operated by Core Civic is the company. It's one of 3 in Nevada that are ICE detention centers.
And it's federal, so it's allowed to be private.
Yes. And so the thing is here, I think there are 2 things happening here. And I think there are visits from Congress people to ICE detention centers that have become, I think, big stories. And I think so that's certainly from the ICE perspective, right? Why wouldn't they want to let a congressperson in? That's certainly, I think, a motivating factor. They don't want the bad optics of it. But also, frankly, from the other perspective, why should a congressperson be let in? Frankly, they're one of the few people who have access to these facilities because it's difficult for reporters to get. It's difficult to get a public view of what these facilities look like. And so who's going to go do it? Well, it may as well be a congressperson because they can at least say what they saw in there. And it's troubling that we can't even get that.
Yeah, Horsford emphasized it's a part of his job to inspect the detention center. That's why he was there, right?
Yeah, and he's done it before. And Congress people do private walkthroughs of these kinds of facilities all the time. It's not like a new thing that's only happening because of the attention on ICE right now.
I do believe there is actually a federal law that authorizes that and makes it improper, maybe even illegal, to deny a congressperson entry to do even an unannounced visit. And here he kind of said, I'm on my way over. Why do you think it is important for Congress people to really go into these centers? I mean, they don't have special training. And I get your point about journalists and others not being able to go in, but I don't know, sometimes these visits seem very much like political posturing, especially in the current environment. We've been seeing this all over the country.
Yeah, and I think it certainly can be political posturing, but in the way that sort of all politics is political posturing, I'm not sure there's anything any elected could do that is not technically posturing.
Cut right through it, Jacob.
Yeah, so, in that environment, I think, though, sometimes the posturing has value. And I think this is one of those instances where that can be true, because genuinely, what's going on in there? We won't know. A lot of the times when we talk about prison misconduct or these kinds of detention facility misconduct, we're relying on whistleblowers. We're relying on information from inside the prison getting out, and the way these prisons work, frequently that it's very difficult to do. I think of, prison abuses have a long history in the United States, and certainly prison abuses by the federal government, both in the United States and outside the United States. I think, obviously, of Abu Ghraib comes to mind as like the sort of case, the case, but there are other ones, obviously. So, not saying that this is related at all, but obviously with I think the attention of ICE detention facilities in Florida, especially where the sort of cruelty is the point that they've made this insane alligator infested, terrible conditions prison. I think the public has a right to know what the inside of these facilities look like. And it's concerning that we don't even get that.
What I was thinking about was the alligator infested. What are they calling it? Alligator Alley? Alligator Alcatraz.
Alligator Alcatraz, quote unquote, is their branding.
Yeah, because they,
Garbage.
Of course, want to open one in Nevada in the desert and call it Coyote Canyon or something. They sound like rides at a Six Flags, not places where people should live.
The Coyote Compound. Yeah.
So honestly, the long pause was my head was imagining that they were also going to release coyotes into the compound as a part of like the detention process, which is not funny, but that's where my brain was going because that's how ridiculous this all seems. Look, private prisons, what a terrible concept. Who should make money off of the imprisonment or detention of other people? And it feels like there's very little oversight of these. And the argument is that they're corporations, that they're businesses. So I'm glad to know that there is some government official that is allowed to go in and inspect these prisons. And you know what? If they had just let him in that day, it probably wouldn't have been news. So who's that on?
I have been, as an attorney with clients, in pretty much every state prison and detention facility in Nevada. And I will tell you that I don't even know what I would be looking for to suggest if they knew I was in the building. It's not like they can engage with the people who are being detained. And
Horsford arranged this visit. It wasn't a surprise,
Right. So, if there are coyotes wandering to keep, people at bay, they would probably put them in their pens, for that sort of thing. So, I don't know how efficient it is that the one and only check, which has now been denied, is, a congressperson with, just showing up and walking about with the warden or whatever. But you do bring up a really interesting point, Sarah, about these, private prisons, because there seems to be an incentive that the more people incarcerated, the more they're justified. And who is watching the watchmen here, right?
Yeah.
But this detention center in Pahrump has been online for a very long time. And indeed, during the Obama administration, which was, king deporter, still numbers that exceed what the Trump administration is doing, although Trump's trying hard to be number one. Same thing with the Biden. People were being housed in this facility. I just wonder, now that they're housing a much larger number of immigrants, of people alleged to be undocumented, that we're seeing the videos of people being snatched off the streets, and this is where in Nevada they're being housed, does it change the conversations that we haven't been having, even though similar activities have been going on there for over a decade?
Yeah. I mean, first, let me just say I have nothing personal against coyotes. I respect their hustle. 1. 2, did you know that you can check to see if your bank or your investment accounts profit off of private prisons? And you can cancel those accounts and switch your bank. Give it a Google. It's very easy to do, too.
Wow.
3, I mean, Trump, almost individually, because he's commanding this entire, half of our Republican Party now.
Well, let's not sleep on Stephen Miller. Seems to be the architect.
Never would I. But everyone around him is either using Trump as a reason or taking marching orders from Trump, right?
Yeah.
So Trump has made this a point of conversation and alarm and fear. And honestly, probably a lot of his success is built on fear. As a historian, American politicians are really good at that, and Americans have responded to that. And we tend to go through these cycles of fear about immigrant groups about every 50 years in really severe ways, maybe a little bit longer. The only hope that I can offer is that after we have these really horrible moments where we clamp down on the rights of individuals and punish people for simply being from the countries they're from, we do then have an incredible period of civil rights revival where we see a lot of growth very, very quickly. So I am drinking a lot of coffee and just trying to make it through to that bright day on the other side of this.
This episode is brought to you by Nordstrom. Summer's almost out and fall's calling. Luckily, Nordstrom has everything you need for the season ahead, all under $100. Discover new arrivals from your favorite brands like Mango, Princess Polly, Wave, Free People, BDG, and more. Whether you're planning a last-minute getaway, heading back to class, or refreshing your office looks, you'll find the latest trends and beauty must-haves without breaking your budget. It's easy, too, with free shipping, free returns, and in-store order pickup. Shop today, in stores, and at Nordstrom.com.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
All right. Last topic. And this is one that just keeps coming back over and over and over again. It asks the big question: when freebies, comps in a city like ours of comp culture go to elected officials, should they be brought up on ethics charges? And well, here we are again, looking back at the first F1, 5 of our 6 sitting county commissioners at the time, everyone except for Marilyn Kirkpatrick, shout out Marilyn, you didn't need to go to the F1 races, accepted tickets to the inaugural Voom Zoom Voom down the Las Vegas Strip that had all of its various problems. And it turns out those tickets were valued, I guess if you like F1, at over $10,000 each. Jacob, you're a big F1 fan. Is it worth $10,000 to get a ticket?
Oh, yeah. So I think I know the tickets they got. I don't know for sure, but if it was the Skybox. So I'll just say for context, I was still a reporter when the first F1 race happened. I got to go to the track, see all the like VIP areas before the race happened. And so if I understand correctly, where they were, yeah, it's probably worth like $11,000 because like you got like there was like food. It was like, it's indescribable. You were in like this giant glass box that was like modeled to be like old Vegas or whatever, like all these sort of like luxe booths that you could like see the race, like the start finish straight was like right in front of you. It was like compared to like a normal seat. So I'll also say I went to the race the second year just in my private capacity because I'm a fan of the game. And then,
and not an elected official. So you didn't get
not an elected official. No. Yeah. And so, and I was just in like, the dinky grandstands in the cold, like bundled up, listening to my little radio, the commentary as the cars drive past. I was so locked in. But if you don't like F1, that sucks. That was not the ticket they had. They had a nice ticket where they were inside, I think, and got to like view the fancy stuff. So yeah, is the question, is that worth that money? Look, if you got the money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is all coming from reporting from Mary Hines over at the Las Vegas Review-Journal. She's a veteran reporter. And, is this a big scandal or not is the question. So the ethics board has been considering this for a while. Now these commissioners and one former commissioner, Ross Miller, have to sort of answer to it. They could be fined. They could be sanctioned. There's a lot of things that could happen from it. Las Vegas, the lifeblood of Las Vegas in many ways is the comp. Are comps bribes? Is this something we as citizens should be worried about when our elected officials are going to the things that they oversee?
$10,000 tickets to an elected official that has the power to welcome F1 back or get it out of here feels a little bribey. So maybe it's not an obligation that these elected officials are going to do something to help F1, but there is an expectation.
Well, I want to say this, and Jacob, I want to hear your point on this because I know you've been covering politics for a long time. We got a call from F1, said, hey, you want to come out and check out our little Grand Prix Plaza? And we just recently had an episode about that. We got freebies to go do that. They were valued at $30 each for the go-karts and like $80 for the experience. You listen to the episode and you decide whether or not, their expectations were made with what they got from those freebies. But we did disclose it. And I think that's part of it, too, is like how the elected officials disclose these sort of compy gifts. So, Jacob, your take.
Yeah, I think when it comes to any comp, like, look, when you ask the question, is X a bribe? The real question is X indistinguishable from a bribe to a normal person? And I'm not sure that the answer is no in this case, because frankly, they had, I think the commissioners have said that it was to better understand race operations.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that point out. That's their defense.
Cool. Yeah. You don't need to go to the fancy pants skybox to do that. You like, as a member of the media, right? There was an expectation that I wrote about it, and I did write about it at the time. I got to see before the race, they showed local press, the paddock area, the sort of how everything was built. They were showing us the behind the scenes, all the tunnels they built, all of that like stuff that I think makes sense for race operations, right? And if you're a commissioner, I think something like the bridge over Flamingo, right? That feels more pertinent to you as a commissioner to understand how traffic flow over Flamingo works during race prep than like, what kind of food are they serving in the skybox?
Oh, come on. But it's also about schmoozing with the fancy people. And as a county commissioner, maybe that benefits. You make connections. You get to network. It's all for the greater good.
That
no,
makes
Sarah?
it sound like more of a bribe, how you just framed it.
Yeah, they can network. If I'm a commissioner, they can come to me and network in my office, where that's on my calendar and people know that it happened.
Yeah. Well, this goes way back. I remember a giant scandal. Senator Harry Reid, when he was still one of the most powerful people, in the country, he was the Senate Majority Leader from here. They gave him some boxing tickets or something, and he's like an old school boxing enthusiast. And everybody, on the opposite side of the political spectrum are like, he's taking bribes to go see a boxing match. And, what did they really expect of it? And I wonder, Sarah and Jacob, if it just kind of comes down to how good a comp it is. Maybe
just don't. Maybe if you're an elected official, maybe just don't.
I think there is some gradation here where like if they had been comped like general admission standing room only tickets, like that would have been funny. And actually I would have thought that would, do that. That's good. They should be out there in the cold with everyone else who bought like one-day tickets and drove over from California.
Okay. All right. Well, let's have some fun with it because, we do love to have fun with our last topic, no matter what we can do. What comps out there, if given to any elected official, would clearly not change their mind about anything, that no one would consider ever to be a bribe? I guess I'm asking you, what are the worst comps you could get in Vegas if you're elected?
David, I think you might have said this. I hope I'm not stealing yours, but I haven't been able to get out of my head. But yeah, 2 comp tickets to the Circus buffet. Like, I think that is probably, that's more of a punishment than a comp.
Well, food in general, right? I mean, if you're getting comps over at, Bar Bohem versus, like you said, one of the Circus buffets, would one raise an eyebrow and the other kind of raise concern about a person's health?
I just like the idea of like an elected official having to present their like ticket at entry, not just like a free drink at a bar. Like, I'm the mayor. Here's my comp Circus buffet ticket. Thank you very much. I mean, I would. I'm not going to let that go to waste. I'm from the Midwest.
Yeah, no, I have the comp. I'm going to use the comp. Yeah,
I'm going to use the comp. Yeah.
Maybe that's what the key to the city really opens up. The key to the city should have like a clearance level. So, okay, buffets are okay. High-end steakhouse experience is not so much. How about you, Jacob? What's the comp that doesn't get you all in a fluster?
Yeah, in an attempt to avoid just naming the circus again. Sorry. But
feel like stop picking on my favorite property.
I won't pick on it because I was just going to name, I was trying to think of what's the worst nosebleed left for a sports event in this town. And I feel like, the sad death of a lot of our outdoor sports stadium has gotten rid of a lot of this. But I think maybe if you go see an Aviators game at in August, it's 1:10 outside, you're in the outfield and the sun is in your eyes. Mm-hmm. Do you want to live anymore? I don't know. So I'll say that. I
think a front row ticket to the Blue Man group. I love watching Blue Man, but I wouldn't want to be right there.
Again,
I mean, you're going to be
getting
blue. You're going to be getting blue paint in your eyeballs. Yeah. So it is kind of more. I mean, I actually, when this question came up, I was like, we're just going to rag on Chris Angel and all the stuff that everybody kind of punches on. I'm going to say punches down on just because it's just so beleaguered things. But I honestly don't think that there is a comp, if disclosed, that really would make a difference to anyone. Now, we have had scandals with our county commission where they were receiving free lap dances at a business that they were then regulating.
The G-sting? Is that what that was called? I was going to ask about that.
Yeah.
G-sting.
I'm going to say that's probably the line because you're probably not disclosing that.
I think the rule has to be that if you accept comps, you have to accept all comps. So if you are going to
I love this.
accept the $10,000 booth at F1, you also have to accept the tickets to Desert Dogs and go. That's our lacrosse team who I've decided I'm going to get really into next year. That's my New Year's resolution.
Nice,
yeah. I'm excited. If you accept, the fancy steak dinner, you also must go to the buffet at Circus. Like,
right.
You got to do it all. You're going to take one, you got to do them all.
You take the Super Bowl tickets, you have to go to the slap fighting competition.
Oh, no.
That's right. It's an obligation now.
Yeah, I love it. Can you send a proxy if you really don't want to go?
No.
Or you have to be there?
You have to go.
That's why you got elected.
No.
Yeah. All comps or no comps. Yeah.
It's like the all-you-can-eat buffet. It's not all you want to eat. It's all you can eat.
All you can eat, yeah. You
Don't
need to
take
be
comps
walking
then.
out of there like a water balloon, or it's not. No, that didn't count. You have to go again.
One thin mint, everybody. One thin mint. Well, this turned out very fun. Lots going on in our city. Always is. That's why we hate Las Vegas so very, very much. Well, Jacob and Sarah, thank you so much for another great Friday News Roundup.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
And before we go, we do have some neighbor shout-outs. Neighbors are our membership program, and we want you to go over there and become a neighbor of ours. So one of the benefits is you get to shout out one of your favorite businesses. Sarah, we got a couple.
Oh, yeah. Jimmy S. writes in to say, Slonina Art Space blends elegance and energy, local art, inspired events, and a thriving creative scene in downtown Vegas. What a sell. I love that. And Sam Yu points out that the Henderson Bird Viewing Preserve is an off-the-beaten-track, nonprofit destination that's been around for over 20 years. He says it's a beautiful place to stroll and has the friendliest staff. I also love the Henderson Bird Viewing Preserve. And their plant sale this spring was off the chain. So check it out.
Yeah. And I love the Slonina Art Space, and they have a great roster of events coming up. You should go check them out, too. They support all the local artists, including artists who perform on the Strip and who do visual stuff. It's so great. So if you, too, want to go and get a shout-out on the podcast, just head on over to membership.citycast.fm. That's membership.citycast.fm. We'd love to have you as a neighbor. And that's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Our executive producer is Sonia Cho Swanson. Our producer is Layla Muhammad. Our roving producer this week was Selena Say Reynolds. Our newsletter editor is Rob Katsouris, and our hosts are me, Dayvid Figler, and the amazing Sarah Lohman. Music is by OG Moose, All the Kimonos, and Matt Large, courtesy of Epidemic Sound. We record the show on the traditional homelands of the Nuuvi, the Southern Paiute people. If you enjoyed the show, go tell a friend, my friend. Rate the show too, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Las Vegas. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Till then, stay lucky.
I do like the karaoke in the rooms. I go to like karaoke queue over on like Jones, so I can just be alone.
What's your song? What's
my song?
No.
My go-to song is "What's Up" by 4 Non Blondes. But
mine too.
Oh my God. I'm going to just say this
and
we're going to move into the news. I'm going to say this and we're going to go into news. My least favorite of the karaoke songs. When the first notes cue up, nobody can do that song justice. No one could do that.
That's why you do it.